I had a conversation with my mechanic recently, and it got me thinking that even though I talk about things like WhatsApp business, Google My Business Profile, Truecaller, things like that, it got me thinking that there are lots of us Nigerian business owners and self employed people who are not taking advantage of some, what will I call it now? Let me just say organic SEO juice. So let me explain. Now, of course, when we say organic in these circles, what we mean is attention that you get from potential customers, from an audience, potential buyers, but you don't pay for those opportunities. So if you're posting things to your Instagram handle, you're putting things up on Google My Business Profile, you're putting things up on LinkedIn, and you're not advertising those things, then whenever people find you or interact with you, that's what we call organic. Then SEO. SEO, of course, search engine optimization. People don't talk about that anymore nowadays because we have artificial intelligence tools, but I'm not going to talk about any of that today. But sure, the whole point of SEO, at least in the good old days, maybe like 10, 15 years ago, was we're trying to answer the question, how do your potential customers, how do your potential clients, how do your potential investors or stakeholders, how do they find you? So the answer to that used to be SEO. And SEO just means how do people find me online? So there are lots of things that people used to do back in the day and still use and can still do now to try and make sure that you show up on Google. Although nowadays people are talking about showing up in searches from Gemini or Claude, or what's the other one? The first one that came out, ChatGPT. Yes. So there are lots of things that people are doing to be found on those platforms. But we forget that by just doing some very simple things, we can take advantage of profiles that are already being pre-populated or that are already being created for us. So, whether I like it or not, because I have been in the business for a while and I have a podcast and I've been doing a bunch of stuff, these tools are already creating profiles on my behalf. The first time I heard about it was back in my days when I was doing events, and somebody was trying to tell me about Google My Business. And I was like, oh, how do I get on it? The person was like, nah, you've been around for a while. The profile is probably there. All you have to do is just go online and then just click on claim this profile. So back then, that's what I needed to do. I just went and I searched. I was like, oh, okay. Google has already created the profile because they have figured out that people are looking for a certain individual who handles certain kinds of businesses and who seems to operate around certain kinds of areas. And this fellow seems to be based in Abuja. So the thing just created the profile. So all I did was click, and then it gave me a bunch of instructions about how to claim and how to validate the profile. So for those of us who've been doing stuff for a while, you've been in business for a while, 5 years, 10 years, 15 years, whatever. The thing is, all these platforms are already creating profiles on your behalf. Google has already created the profile for your business because Google has noticed online that there are people based in your part of the city or your part of the world who are looking for this kind of service provider or this kind of product provider, and he seems to work on these kinds of days, and he seems to be in this part of town, and blah blah blah. So they already have created the profile, whether you like it or not. All you have to do is just claim this profile. That's the reason why I talk a lot about things like Google Business Profile. So the same also goes for Truecaller. You know that Truecaller is an let's say, what will I put it now? It's like a call identification type software app. Anyway, people install Truecaller on their phones just so that when people call them, they know exactly who it is that is calling. So whether they should answer the call or not answer the call. And then also to increase the likelihood that they will catch somebody who is a spammer or a 419er. So if somebody calls and then Truecaller says, 600 people have reported this number as spam, then of course I'm not going to answer the call, and neither will you. So because Truecaller is in this line of business, even Truecaller has started creating profiles for people, but all we have to do is just claim the profile. So, Truecaller is free. But I recently I got tired of all their advertisements, and so I decided to create a profile. I'm still on the free account anyway, but in the process of going to sign up to the whole thing, it asked me to verify a bunch of my details, and there you have it. There's also another profile, publicly available profile on me, on another thing that people can freely access on the internet, which will kind of give me much more enhanced credibility when people look for me. But anyway, you guys will be wondering, so how does this tie back to the mechanic? It's very simple. My mechanic, like most mechanics in Niger, the guy already has two numbers. So I stored the two numbers. Then I received a call from another number. I didn't know it was him, but sure, I just lost track. But of course, the money I define. So I never know when it's a potential customer who might be calling. So routinely, I always go to my what do you call that thing? Like call lists or whatever on your phone, and I scroll down. And I'm like, oh, I didn't call this person back. I didn't call this person back. I didn't call this person back. So I went through the whole spiel, called up the guy, and mechanic. His name is Baba, and he picked up the phone. It's like, oh, nah, Baba be this, and then we started talking. But the thing was that I found really interesting was this. When I saw that number, like, okay, I haven't called this number back, and then I tapped the number to dial, Google threw up a name. And the name that Google threw up was Benz CS Mechanic. Benz as in Mercedes Benz. So Benz CS Mechanic. And then Truecaller also threw up the same thing. And I thought, interesting. So my mechanic, the guy's name is Baba. Baba should give you a sense of how old the guy is. So my mechanic has been doing business for a while. And he's not, tech literate or none of those things. But the thing is, Google has figured out that whenever people need to fix Mercedes Benz, whether it's C class or S class, they call this number. Truecaller has figured out that whenever people need to fix Mercedes Benz, C class or S class, they call this guy. Google and Truecaller have created profiles for this guy that just says Benz CS Mechanic. Maybe because somebody stored his number on their phone as Benz CS Mechanic, and maybe other people have been storing his number as Benz Mechanic, S Class Mechanic, or Mechanic, or whatever. So Google and Truecaller shall just create a profile for this guy. But guess what? Baba is unaware. Baba has not claimed the profile. So he's not going to get any benefits of this organic SEO juice. Remember, organic. Baba didn't pay for it. But people are coming across this SEO juice. They are finding his number online. Anybody just types Benz Mechanic, S-Class Mechanic, C-Class Mechanic, whatever, he's coming up. But he's not aware. So this is organic. The guy is getting SEO juice. All the details have already been pre-populated. Abuja, blah, 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 works on so and so days, everything. All Baba has to do, if you were aware, but, my house is crap, so it's not as if it's something I can tell him. All he has to do is just go and claim these profiles. It will enhance his credibility. Because believe me, you know how our mechanics can be. So imagine that you get the number, you dial, and then, a Google My Business profile, shows up like that. I'm like, oh, okay. This guy is not just an anyhow mechanic. All he has to do is claim the profile and then do a few stuff. Put it there, put a proper business name, maybe put his logo, maybe put his picture. Now, of course, take a few pictures, of boys working in the shop, things like that. Some of you will say, why would I do that? Those are not polished. Look, don't worry, just forget. It's a different segment apart from ours, so the aesthetic is different. Because I've noticed that carpenters in Abuja have started taking advantage of this sort of thing. You call someone, By the time it finishes, Google says, "Oh, was this a business?" And then you click on yes, and then it opens the Google My Business profile, and then you can see that carpenters are becoming sharp. So they're doing this sort of thing now. They take a picture of the yard, they take a picture of the boys, they just put it there. It's not glamorous, but at least it's lending some enhanced credibility online. So my mechanic, Baba, should take advantage of this. But my Hausa is crap. In fact, I don't even speak Hausa, so it's not as if I can explain this thing to him. But he should take advantage of it because Google Business and Truecaller have already created the profile and already pre-populated a bunch of stuff. Now, if mechanics in Abuja are taking advantage of this dynamic so that they can be found online, honestly speaking, what excuse do you have? You're from a higher, in quote, higher social class. You are better educated. You have much more disposable income. Why are you not taking advantage of all these simple things? It's already there. Now, for some of you, it's a matter of ignorance. I understand. Because I was in that situation as well. I had been in the event space for maybe 3-4 years when somebody told me that, oh, there's this thing. Then he used to call it Google My Business. This is Google My Business. I was like, oh, how do I get on it? And the guy's like, don't worry, you're probably already there. Just go and claim your profile. So I didn't know. So, if this is your first time listening to the podcast, this is the first time you're hearing about all these sorts of things, and you just want to start mopping up all the organic SEO juice that is already available for your business. And please, I'm talking about people who've been in business for a while. So, like Baba, obviously, has been a mechanic since before I was born. So, he's been doing his thing. At the time I discovered Google My Business, I had been in the event space for maybe 3-4 years. So, I had been doing a few things. So, I'm willing to bet if you've been in business for a while, 2-3 years, people have been calling you, people have been doing business with you. I'm willing to bet that there's already some kind of profile of you somewhere on the internet just floating about. Go and claim it. One listener of the podcast has reached out to me. Well, first of all, she was shocked about the amount of information that was available about her online because she was kind of scared. Because you could find out quite a bit. Like, you couldn't find out her kids' names. Excuse me. You couldn't find out her kids' names, but you could see the address of the business. Because it's not as if she went to go and put the address online, but the address is where she walks out of her home. So for her, the level of shock was like, people can see my house address online. So I guess it's not necessarily a bad thing. Well, except if your business address also is your house address, then that's a problem. But I'm just trying to say that for those of you who are looking for this kind of exposure, there's organic SEO juice that is already hanging out there that you're not aware of. Just go and check and you will see, like, wow, okay, the information is already out there. Now, if you're like this lady and you don't like this kind of attention, okay, good. You claim the profile. You now put a different address as your business address. Maybe put your lawyer's address or whatever, or you put the address of a co-working space or whatever, or just click on, don't show the address. Mosha, Google Business is already creating profiles about you if you've been in business for a while. Truecaller is already creating profiles about you if you've been in business for a while and the people have been calling you for business purposes for a while. Go on these platforms and claim it. It is organic SEO juice so that people can find you online, and when they find you online, you have the enhanced credibility of a professional vendor, professional service provider, professional business, professional whatever. So yeah, that's just basically what I wanted to say today. Just go online and claim these profiles. You have nothing to lose. And you have a whole lot more to gain. I think you have a whole lot more to gain. Okay, so that's it, and that's all for today. If you'd love to connect with me, call me, send me a text message or a WhatsApp message on 08064662140. Thanks for your time and attention. I'll catch you at the next episode.